BRUCAST is back, baby.
This BRUCAST episode is brought to you by the BRUCAST Store. Explore a store filled with awesome goodies from hoodies to t-shirts to mugs. We've got you covered. Stay in style with BRUCAST. Embrace the shock, set the trend. Visit now brew-cast.com/store. Link below.
Back with the fire, can't you see the flames? From Deutschland steps comes the BRUCAST name. Voices like thunder breaking all the chains. Unleash the fury like a runaway train.
Welcome back to another BRUCAST episode. If it's your first time watching the show, make sure to like and subscribe. If you're listening to Spotify or Apple Podcasts, please rate the show 5 stars. This will ensure that the podcast recommends to even more people and allow me to keep doing what I love. BRUCAST also on Instagram, X, and TikTok, where I upload shorts with the highlights of the show. So follow now, BRUCAST on Instagram, X, and TikTok. Links in the description below.
Here we thrive, we survive!
Hey there, BRUCAST fans, you know what's up? It's time to talk about the giveaway. Yes, we're doing another giveaway. We've done one already. I mean, we made several of them already, and it has been a huge success. If you haven't checked yet, go check the winner of the previous giveaway. It's on the live category in our channel. Just maybe one, who knows? You might have won it. So, regarding about the new giveaway, we're going to announce the winner of this beautiful, awesome, sexy t-shirt at the end of March 2025. And all you have to do, in order to maybe win this t-shirt, in order to run and maybe get this beautiful t-shirt, is to subscribe and comment. Yes, we're changing the rules a little bit, because before it was all you had to do is only subscribe, but there's so many of you now. In order to to win this beautiful t-shirt, you need to subscribe and comment on YouTube, because Spotify also allow comments now. So we're talking about YouTube. Subscribe on YouTube, comment on YouTube. I mean, it would be awesome if you subscribe on Spotify as well. And as soon as you do that, you're gonna be then running to win this beautiful t-shirt. Again, comment anything. Comment what you thought about the podcast, today's episode, yeah, or potato. As long as you comment, it's valid. So that's about it. Subscribe, comment, like. You can also like. That would be amazing. And that's for the giveaway. Today's guest is Mark Nara. So Mark Nara is a tattoo artist and spiritual guide specializing in intentional tattoos that align aesthetics with energy. As founder of the Tattoo Pathway and host of Tattoos with Intention, he helps clients and artists bring deeper meaning to their work. All right, Mark, how are you doing, my friend?
Yeah, good, mate. Just waking up, you know.
I noticed you were drinking coffee, right?
I'm having a tea.
Or tea, right?
Still my tea.
So what time is it?
Yeah, too early for coffee. It's 4:30.
What? Oh my God.
4:30.
I'm sorry. Well, congratulations on being a BRUCAST. You're a very interesting guest. So
Thanks, mate. Yeah, appreciate you having me.
of course. So Mark, so you're all about tattoos, right? We can see straightforward, like you have tattoos on your neck, on your hands. Like, when did you got your first one?
I got my first tattoo in 2008. So I was 20 years old,
Yeah.
and I had to get a tattoo in order to do my first tattoo. You know, I was working at this like old school biker tattoo shop as the apprentice, mopping the floors, you know, polishing his Harley Davidson, walking his dog. And I wanted to get tattooing, and he said, if you want to get tattooed, if you want to do a tattoo, you got to get tattooed. You know, you have to understand what you're doing before you do it to someone else. So I got my first tattoo, and for those watching, it's that red one there. See, it says 08. 08.
Mm-hmm. So
Yeah, so it's a date,
it's a date.
timestamp,
Oh, 8. So that was the day you got the tattoo, or
the year.
the 2008? Okay. So let's backtrack a little bit. You were at a what is again a motorcycle shop?
Well, in Australia, most of the tattoo industry at that stage was basically run by a criminal industry. They had their fingers in the industry, so to speak. So all the tattoo studios were either run by or affiliated with motorcycle gangs.
Okay. And you were part of the gang
Yeah.
at the time?
I was not part of the gang, no. I was not part of the gang. I wasn't a gangster. I just wanted to do tattoos, and that was how you got your foot in the door. So it's pretty common for artists to get, I guess, sort of caught up in a way. You know, it's not like they're doing anything illegal, but the studios were just a bit of a haven for, I think a lot of it was like money laundering and, you know, different criminal activities, which has changed now. It's not like that anymore, but, you know, there was a long period of time where it was like that.
I know that in Japan, for sure, if you have a tattoo, like, you're not well regarded, and mostly because of the Yakuza. As far as I know, I'm not
Right.
sure. Yeah. Which from
Yeah.
at least for me and for a lot of my buddies, like, sounds a little bit silly because it's just a form of, as far as I understand, a form of self-expression and like cool art, and that's about it, right? But there, like, if you have a tattoo, you should be should have shame. I don't know. I don't know any forms from Japan, but I that's what I heard. So you got your tattoo in 2008, so that's why 08. And you were so enthusiastic about getting tattooed that you actually went to this motorcycle club just to be in that environment where you can get tattoos and do tattoos.
No, this was I went to a tattoo shop. I didn't go to a club.
Ah, okay.
It's just that the shops were owned and run by members of clubs.
Oh, got it. Okay.
Does that make sense?
Yeah, it does make sense.
Yeah, no, I didn't patch up and become a club member.
That would be fun. But
Like, yeah, you can be a tattoo artist here. Go blow up a shop with a Molotov cocktail.
all right. So that was the first one, and like, I heard it's addictive, right? Once you get one, you want to get more and more and more.
Yeah, it can be. It can be. There's different reasons that people form a relationship that's addictive. But just to be clear, in order for something to be defined as addictive, it needs to be a pattern of behavior that's harmful to yourself. So I think if someone's getting tattooed unconsciously, so they're getting lots of tattoos, and that is, I guess, giving them something that they're seeking or they desire that isn't good for them. And some tattoos aren't good for you, some are. We can talk about the difference between the two. So if someone's starting to like get tattooed and these tattoos are, the language I would use is the tattoo's degenerative, or it's something that sort of breaks down who they actually are, breaks down their identity, or moves them away from a healthy psychology or a healthy sense of self, then it's addictive. Yeah, it's an addiction. But for someone who's getting tattooed with a relationship that's healthy, or one that's like regenerative, it helps build a good sense of belonging or who they are, then you actually can't use that language.
Wow, I never thought that way. So there are tattoos that could be bad for you. What do you mean exactly by that?
Yeah.
Like, they're like, why? How? Because
Why would a tattoo?
yeah, take it away.
Well, yeah. Why and how? Okay, let's just say that at one stage of your life, a good example would be this biker thing, right? If we think about it, let's say I joined a biker club, and I got these tattoos that represent my identity as part of that club, right? and then I grow and I change. You know, maybe I end up doing some time in jail, right? And I grow and I change, and I come out of jail, and I want to be a different person. You know, those tattoos still hold an imprint of the person that I was prior when I was in that gang. So visually, they can represent someone that I'm not anymore. So there's like a misrepresentation. Like, let's say I'm no longer in the club. You know, let's just do like real extremes. Let's say there's like a motorcycle club. They're criminals. They're doing terrible things to people. Yeah. All the business that they're participating in is something that like damages people's lives. And then I have a change of heart, and I'm someone who like ends up becoming really religious. And I walk into a church, and I've got tattoos all over me that represent a version of me that I want to walk away from. And those tattoos aren't doing me any favors, right? And there's a real physical layer to that, where it's like what you see visually misrepresents who you are. But also at a deeper level, energetically, in terms of the kind of like the information that the tattoos hold, that's in your body that you carry around, in terms of its the structure it holds is from that time as well. They end up being like little time capsules, if that makes sense.
That makes absolutely like total sense. Total sense. Yeah, of course. Like
Yeah.
so, but that's like the let's say the one argument. You could also make a tattoo in a very happy period of your life, right? Like work both ways, right?
Correct. And so that's the main thing that I look at with people, is like, which way does it go? Let's say every single tattoo you get is going to change your trajectory. So this is where you're going. You're going straight. You step into a tattoo environment. And when you get tattooed, what happens? You make a conscious decision to break your skin and add a new material into your body. Usually it's carbon if it's black. And then your body heals and stores that, right? And then afterwards, physically, you're different. So and energetically, you're different as well. You could even say, like, in these different arenas, we talk about, you know, like the mental, emotional, the physical, and the spiritual. And so your path in that point in time when you take that action actually changes a degree or more in one or another direction. So as a result of that tattoo, you're no longer going on the exact same path. Your path has been altered ever so slightly. And it's real obvious to see because you walk out of the studio physically different. You've physically changed. And so does that change move you towards 1 degree to the left or 1 degree to the right? And what are those paths?
But I mean, I'm gonna play devil's advocate for a second here. Couldn't you say
Please
that?
do.
Couldn't you say that about anything? Like, oh, if I accept this job, my life is gonna turn into a direction that like it'll be completely different forever. If like I buy this car instead of this car, like every day we're making thousands of micro decisions that will affect our lives forever, right? I was reflecting about this the other day. So I'm based in Germany, but I'm Brazilian.
Mm-hmm.
The only reason I'm in Germany right now is because my mom started capoeira lessons like 20 years ago, met this French guy, they fell in love, they dated for many years, they got married, they went to France, I went to, like, there's a whole, like, it completely changed my life just because she one day decided to take this free capoeira class, you know? So I got your point. I get your point, but I think this can be applied to basically anything, right?
I mean, there's a layer of similarity. I think we make something like 1,000 choices an hour, to be specific.
Really?
Yeah. The thing is, if I decide to scratch my nose, okay, to scratch my nose or not to scratch my nose, I'm not making a physical alteration to my body, one. Okay. So there's a difference there. Two, I'm not breaking my skin and using blood. So here's a lay that people don't really think about. You can be a bit blasé, which is fine, but there's like mechanics behind regardless, okay? And so the mechanics are that you're choosing to do something, you're acknowledging something, and you're breaking your skin. Yeah. And so like that could just be a tattoo in a tattoo studio, that's cool. But depending on the way you view it, right? And so like I said, there's lots of different ways to view this stuff. It's not set in stone. But some people would see that as like a blood, a blood ritual. You know how people like they do blood pacts.
Oh, that's for
Have you
life.
heard of that before?
Yeah, it's forever.
That's for life, brother. Yeah, so that's a different decision, So it's yes, every decision you make, if we want to like really zoom in and be like meticulous in what affects your life, every decision has some type of influence. It bears weight. It bears weight. Tattooing just has more weight, a lot more weight, and it's always been used like that in all cultures throughout time.
Wow. Yeah. Really. I know that is there a tribe or a culture specifically who invented tattoo? Because you just mentioned all cultures, so I imagine it surfaced a little bit all over the place then, right?
All cultures.
All cultures.
All cultures had it. So yeah, it was developed within every culture on the planet in some form of it or another. This is like body modification. But you got to understand that if we go back that far, people aren't connected. Yeah, we don't have a globalized world.
No internet, yeah.
No planes, no internet,
And so go
you know,
ahead.
it-
Go ahead.
It just means simultaneously, all of these different groups of people developed the same practices with different appearances. It's like, all of the different cultural aesthetics and practices, customs and beliefs. They're all different for each people, but there's also like a scaffolding underneath that of similarity. So we can say like, okay, they all did body modification. They all made different types of ceramics. They all did different type of cloth work. They all did different types of architecture. They all created different songs. They all did different types of dance. They all have different types of language. They all have different types of cuisine. They all have different types of housing. They all have different types of weapons. There's all of these different things that each culture manifests and brings into some type of form. Tattooing is one of those things. It's extremely natural for someone to feel like marking their skin, and then that to become something that's developed alongside other aspects of culture.
And why you think is that?
Why do I think that is?
Yeah.
It's a very innate feeling. There must be something, I think currently, for people anyway, it's like there's an echo of that old tendency to want to record something at a really important point in time. Like all right, a real simple example is, I don't know if you ever used to do it, but I can remember in high school being like, I need to remember something, and I'd write it on my hand with a pen.
Yes, I used to do it. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh man, yeah, makes sense. Makes sense. While we were talking, I just remember I saw this news today that oh my god, my cat is destroying something. Give me a second. Hunter. I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry. That's what happens when you have live podcast.
So I took the
Um,
opportunity to put up my I had another lamp as well.
oh,
Yeah.
um, I was just about to say that I just saw this news today that there's this foreigner, this tourist in Japan, who got caught carving his family name in one of those red portals that they have there, which is extremely sacred, right? And then the police tracked him
Mm-mm.
down, went to his hotel, and just kicked him out of the country. But I think that's also somehow part of this innate feeling, that desire that we all have of, like, we're talking about, like, writing on your skin, writing your things everywhere. Like, it's part of our culture. We want to be remembered somehow, and we want to matter. I don't know where I'm going with this, but I
That's
can.
a good place to go.
Yeah, do you think makes sense?
Well, we want to matter.
Oh.
We want to matter, right? That's an important thread to pick up on here. The thing is that our mattering is irrational. So it's like writing something on your hand. Why does it really matter? It's like, I got to remember to, like, buy milk on the way home.
Mm-hmm.
Does that matter? It matters if I want to have a cup of tea, right? But in the bigger picture, it's insignificant, right?
Mm-hmm.
I'm gonna scratch my name. Mark was here on a red Shinto gate in a country that I don't belong to. Does that matter? It matters more, but it matters for degenerative reasons. So this is where it's a bad decision, okay? Because it doesn't make sense for me to put my name or claim beingness or ownership within that setting. It's irrational. It doesn't make sense. It doesn't fit. In fact, it's disrespectful, right? It shows that I don't understand where I am very well, right? So I think this thing that you're talking about, where it's like, it's innately we want to do that thing. We want to draw on our skin, or we want to write on a wall or whatever. Yes, I agree with you. It's like, it's innate, it's there. Everyone has a drive to do it. The current, I guess, culture that we're in is one that's not very well fitted. People don't really know who they are. They only know who they are in the context of this, like, mixed up wash pool of a world or of a culture. Like you said yourself, it's like, you've got a Brazilian background, you're in Europe. It's like me. I've got a European background. My wife's Southern Indian, so our kids are a mix of stuff, and we're living in Australia. So we're in a very interesting time in terms of the different influences, the different placements of people, the kind of variety of cultural influences through screens. And so people are doing all sorts of weird things. And a lot of the time with their tattoos, it's like, for me, the way that I currently understand tattooing and how it links to our psychology and what matters about it, most people in the industry are like walking around with their shoes on the wrong feet and their t-shirts backwards. That's what it looks like to me. Yeah. So it's like there's a process of getting tattooed that's very easy to engage with very little understanding of what it is that you're doing. And it's very permanent. So there's a bit of an issue that the global contemporary tattoo culture is currently experiencing.
Damn, that's so deep and that's so interesting. I know that a lot of people, they go to, like, weddings or parties, and there's like a tattoo artist there, just to make like a random tattoo on the fly, like without thinking, when you're drunk. Like, I think that's the the best example that I could think about of what you're saying. Am I right? Is that the case?
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's the case, mate. Yep. People just getting tourist stickers. I don't know what it's like over in Europe. Here, it's the old people that travel around, called grey nomads. they collect like stickers and they put them on the back of their caravan, or they collect tea towels, or they collect badges and put them on a blanket or something, you know. And it's like that's what people are becoming. It's just they're all just tourist stickers, you know. But I think the way tattooing used to be used, it's more like the markings were just another representation, like I said, of the culture. You know, so it's like those beautiful carved gates that you'd see in multiple cultures. It's just carving those same pieces of information into the person in a way that connects them to that story.
That's beautiful. Have you watched Fight Club?
Oh, a very long time ago.
The reason why I'm bringing that up is because I just remember a quote from the movie. I'm gonna read it real quick. I think it applies to a little bit to what we're
Yeah.
talking. Screen share. So the quote goes, "Oh, advertising has us chasing cars and clothes, working jobs we hate so we can buy shit we don't need, and the things you own end up owning." Oh, I have an ad. One second, guys. There you go. And the things you own end up owning you. We're the middle children of history, man. No purpose or place. We have no great war, no great depression. Our great war is a spiritual war. Our great depression is our lives. We've all been raised on television to believe that one day we'd all be millionaires and movie gods and rock stars, but we won't. We're slowly learning that fact. Wow.
Mm-mm.
S-
Yep. Good quote.
So I think like it's a little bit like I think it applies a little bit to what you're saying. Like people are just traveling through life. They're like they don't know like their goals and where they're going, so they're just like collecting those stickers and not thinking too much.
Totally.
Yeah. So would you say
Yeah, that's totally true.
that's a bad thing because there's no it's like a detrimental thing because there's no intention behind?
Yeah, I'd say there's just less awareness of what the intention is. It's a superficial intention opposed to a substantial intention. You know, it's on the surface. It's not very deep. But some of the things in that quote that I think are important to look at, it's like, yes, that people are just sort of floating around with no end. You see that within tattooing. So it's a definite marker. So people might end up addicted, like you said, or they just participate in getting tattooed and they don't have an end in sight. They don't know where they're going with it. They don't know where the finish is. They don't know what they're trying to achieve, actually. And they just work it out as they go. And they end up with something that hasn't been really well thought out or executed. And it can actually look really disjointed. And it can feel very uncomfortable. That's one thing. The other thing in that quote, which was about people becoming movie gods or rock stars, you know, or wanting to be millionaires, because of the programming of the television. You know, Fight Club's pretty old. Hey, I don't know.
Yeah. From
exactly
the
when
90s,
it was
I
made.
think. 99, I would say.
Right.
Let me
So
check.
we did 99. Yeah. So it's before we had podcasts and social media.
Yeah, 99.
Yeah. Yeah, you know, so we're going back, and that quote's talking about the influence of like high production television on culture. Now we're dealing with low production, high consumption media. We're talking about TikTok, you know, and so there's a different layer of that now. And so it's not as much like wanting to be a rock star or a movie star, it's wanting to be a social media influencer, you know, and that's even worse because that's like a real small snapshot of someone, like a minuscule part of the spectrum of who they are, you know. Movie characters are carved out and you see like a little bit more of the character, you know, even though it's not real, they're trying to be a representation of a whole person a lot of the time. Whereas the influencers we get now are like parts of people, and then people end up believing that's, you know, who they should be. That's what they're competing and comparing with. And you end up with this like self-idolization and this self-inflation that can come through tattooing.
But I would say that some of those influencers are not even people. They're not trying to even people. Do you remember this? What was it like a trend? I think that is still going on. Is like the robots trend, or I think NPC. There you go, the NPC trend, where people would just go in front of the camera and act like a robot, and they would just wait for donations. And what do you remember this?
Nah,
Oh, thanks God, man, because
I
it's
don't.
off. They would just stay in front of a camera, waiting for donations and like just jumping up and down like a robot, like an NPC. And as soon as they get something, like €1, they like, and €1 means strawberry, and they would say, strawberry, yummy, yummy, and do a little dance, and then keep like waiting for the next donation. And then €2 like grapes, and then it just means grape, right? And then they say, yummy, yummy, grapes, and there's like a gif of a grape animation, and that's it. And that's what they do, and they spend hours doing that, and they earn a bunch of money. And for me, that's the definition of brain rot. That's horrible. Like,
Yes.
so I would challenge you and say, like, there's some of those people. I'm judging so hard. Some of those people, I shouldn't. I'm sorry. Like they just they're not, the personality is not even there anymore. You know, that's what was my point.
Yeah. Yeah. We're definitely dealing with that. We're definitely dealing with that. People that don't really have a solid grounding in. Well, I guess it is becoming reality. I was going to say they don't have a grounding in reality, or a disconnection. They have a disconnection from the material world, starting to end up as this virtual world, you know, facilitated by the screen. Yeah, I mean, let's see where it goes. Who knows? I do know it's having a pretty big effect on the tattoo space, in terms of people just like getting exposed to things that they normally wouldn't. Like, for example, this is to like talk about a real detrimental tattoo, right? One that's degenerative, not good for you. A lot of my clients and friends and stuff now that I tattoo send me things that they know I would find interesting. And one of them was this young boy, and I say boy because he couldn't be older than 18. You know, he could even be younger. And the before and after photos, this is on Instagram. It's a photo of him, and he's got a drawing on his face where they've tattooed a mouth sort of around his mouth and up his cheeks and on his forehead. And it's just this scratchy looking thing. And the next photo, it's tattooed, and it's basically like one of those Marvel characters that have just like a really wide mouth with lots of sharp teeth, you know, like a monster's mouth.
Venom.
It's kind of like that. So it's like this 18-year-old's face has been transformed into Venom's face through a tattoo. It's a pretty permanent move, big move. And someone did that to him as well, which is like ridiculous. My old teacher would want to scalp someone like that. But so here's the thing. When you think about it, like why he made that decision, the difference with our current experience to the past is that even myself, and I tattoo a lot of people, it's like, and I've been in the industry for a long time, you don't get exposed to tattoos like that very often. Yeah, I've only seeing someone with their face tattooed, let alone something that's as extreme as that, is not something that you're going to see every day. You're not going to see that when you go to the store to buy milk. You're not going to see that in your neighborhood very often. So it's not reinforced. Whereas currently, our social media is showing things that are of shock value. You know, you're just talking about this bloody empty brain rot situation where people are paying for a person to be a robot. There's also this like shock value. There's this real extreme fringe layer of experience when it comes to things like tattoo and fashion and lifestyles, that if you look at something, you're going to get shown more of it. Yeah, the algorithm feeds you. Okay, so how a young boy ends up making a decision that's extremely damaging to his sense of self and will impact him for the rest of his life is because he's probably in this scrolling pattern of consuming and exposing himself to that. He's been imprinted with it through the screen to such a degree, he's so familiar with it that he wants to identify with it. And that normally wouldn't happen. So there's this influence, or this inflow through the screen, and this imprinting, especially on our youth when they're at like a very important time in their development, that's moving them to make decisions and identify with different things that have nothing to do with who they actually are, and without any sort of grounded comprehension or rationality around the outcome of it. Not a good thing.
Gosh. And you know what? I think it can get worse because, especially when you're young, and especially with the fast-paced entertainment industry and entertainment consumption that we have nowadays, like this boy who like Venom now probably won't like Venom like in 3 months later, or 5 or 6, or maybe in a few weeks, because like especially when you're young, like the things that you like are changing all the time. Gosh.
Yeah. Yeah. We did research on that last year. We ran surveys to see. Almost regretted it immediately. It was like within the first day to week.
Oh, Mark, are you there?
Yeah.
I think we lost connection
I'm
for
still
a
here,
second. I'm sorry. I think we lost connection, but we're back. Gosh.
Okay, cool.
So what would you say, like, let's say you have a client who you kind of feel, or you can tell that they are doing a detrimental tattoo or something they will probably regret it later on. They're in this age gap. What do you say? What would you do? Like, would you intervene or comment?
Yeah, of course.
Yeah?
I'd give them some guidance. I'd give them some sound guidance. Yeah. Talk about the same things we're talking about now. And then ultimately it's their choice what they do. I'm only responsible for my choices. So I would give them everything that I have access to allow them to see what it is that they're doing and whether that's something that's going to be useful for them moving forward or not, what it might move them towards. And then my choice would be not to participate in that process with them. But then they can make their choice of like, well, this person's giving me sound guidance. So if I want to get tattooed, maybe I'll continue to engage with him, and he might help move me towards something that's going to actually be well fitted over time, or they might be in like the rebel archetype, or in some type of stage where they don't want to hear that shit from anyone. They want to do whatever the fuck they want, and then they're going to go get tattooed somewhere else.
Would you rather lose the client and do a tattoo that goes against what you believe in?
100%.
Gosh, I think that's a nice way of asking. Like a nice plug to ask. What do you think about black? How would you say again? Full black tattoos or blackout tattoos? When you cover your whole arm on
Blackout.
So my first question:
Yeah, I think
is this
great.
Is this a detrimental tattoo or like a positive one?
Depends.
It depends.
It's very nuanced.
Ooh.
Yeah, it depends. So it can be detrimental, or it can be positive. So the first thing to consider with a big blackout is whether it's covering old tattoos or not. A lot of the time it's the last resort, someone's covering up tattoos. Like, so, you know, this is a good example of what we're talking about. When we had our case study before, we said someone who's a biker sort of has a change in direction in their life. So like, let's say their arm's covered in all of these old tattoos from the past and they want to get rid of them. They might go like, well, there's nothing else I can do except get my whole arm colored in black. Okay. The other option is they could get laser. It'll never be the same, but it's another path, I suppose, to changing what's there. The thing that makes it either positive or negative is, again, their intention. It's how they approach it. So one person could say, I don't like these old tattoos. I don't like the way they represent me. I hate that version of myself. There could be a lot of resentment towards the old version of themselves, and they get their arm colored in black. That's not a good thing to do, because you're sort of running away. You're trying to hide something that you haven't processed. So you're not really getting rid of it. You're just putting something over the top of it and it's still there, right? The analogy I use is like you're wrapping this old version of yourself in plastic and burying it in the ground, okay? It's still there. You know that it's there in the backyard. You've got this body in the backyard that you're hiding. You're guilty, right? It's not going anywhere. You've just buried it deeper. The way that you can get a black tattoo done like that that's positive is you reflect on all of the tattoos. You acknowledge what's happened in a real respectful way. You got to have this reflection that is trying to balance who you are. So you need to see and sort of have resolve around the things that don't feel right. So why do I not feel good about those points in time and that version of myself? And there's an equation that needs to take place there, you know? So it's like the old charge and the new charge need to come together to sort of nullify something. Yeah. And if you're then covering that stuff, it's like burying that body, that old self, in the backyard, but it's not wrapped in plastic. And so it's going to break down or, decompose and provide nutrients. So it's an energetic thing. Visually, it looks exactly the same. Energetically, those two different ways of getting tattooed will result in a very different feeling and different trajectory for the person getting tattooed. One person will feel like they're hiding something because they haven't processed it, and they'll still be holding the old memories and the old charge. They're just trying to pretend it never happened. And that's going to have a heaviness to it. They're still carrying something. And then another person's going to have reflected and sort of leveraged the past in a way that's going to allow them to be a more effective person. They're going to be on a path of bettering themselves as a result of it. There'll be no baggage there whatsoever.
Wow, that's so interesting. Like you act as a little bit as a psychologist, we could say, to anyone who's interested in doing a tattoo.
Yeah, tattoo psychology. It's definitely an area of interest.
What would you say? I think I can guess the answer by now, but you tell me. What would you say for someone who is looking for to do their first ever tattoo with you?
First ever tattoo. I think, the first ever tattoo is an exciting time. It's a big one. Usually there's a lot more nervousness around it, and it's a big thing a lot of the time. Especially if someone ends up coming to me for their first tattoo. I don't sort of end up with people that are making random choices so much. There's less of that. So usually when I'm working with someone, it's like, yeah, it's great. There's this excitement there and this nervousness that's really beautiful because it's a big step. They're usually acknowledging how big that step is, crossing over that threshold from, not having any tattoos to having tattoos. So I'm just always trying to help them get off on the right foot. And, a lot of the time, some of the the patterns that show up is that there's lots of ideas that they want to put into something that's really small, or they want to sort of capture the whole story. They want to capture the whole story in one small marking, So usually there's a bit of just filtering their idea or distilling it, boiling it down to what's actually necessary. And also trying to remove the scum layer, which is the influence we were talking about before. So like, let's say that young boy with the Venom face looked like it was his first tattoo. If he came to me, I would be validating that he wants to get tattooed because, like we said earlier, it's a natural thing. So he's probably at a stage where the idea or the prospect of getting tattooed is something that's coming up for him because he's changing and he wants to mark that. Yeah. And so I'd go into a process of acknowledging where he's at, and saying like, I'd be happy to offer guidance and move him through a process, but I absolutely would not tattoo his face. And that Venom is absolutely not the right thing for him to identify with at this point in time. And he could say that I'm wrong. I'm not him, right? But I've got more experience than he does. This is his first time, whereas I've worked with a lot of people. So I'd offer him this layer, and I'd try and extract and separate his desire to get tattooed from his idea, which is completely, what would the word be? We'll just keep going with the word scum. It's impure. So we're trying to sort of purify what he's doing. We're trying to remove the things that are impure from the things that are just naturally being activated that are there for him. So to show him what's there, that he's being moved by, that is totally not a bad thing, and then trying to bring this layer of influence off the top so we can see the act for what it's meant to be, which is a process of changing and acknowledging and remembering, right? So that's kind of how I'd go about it.
Damn, that's beautiful. And you're just like making sure they don't regret later, right? Like they don't do like such an altering decision in their lives they're gonna regret later. And I was trying to think about an analogy to it, and there's a very strong one that came to my mind. I know that there's a lot of young people. I don't know the percentage, so I won't say the percentage, but I know there's a high number of people or children that at a young age identify with sex and later do the transition, right? And later in life regret it. I don't know how much, we can look it up, but it's like one of those decisions that maybe you should look a little bit more carefully, more like calmly. It's not something that you should do like in the heat of the moment.
Yeah, it's absolutely ridiculous. The gender transition stuff for children is absolutely criminal for the same reason. It's like, they're these permanent alterations to someone when they're at a stage where identity isn't fully formed, so yeah, I'm not for that. I think at a later stage, that's, something that people can navigate. I've got friends, people that are dear to me, clients that I've worked with that have actively gone through transitional processes and stuff, and they're cool. They're beautiful people. There's nothing there that I disagree with. But for kids, yeah, that's a whole nother layer. And it's similar with the tattoo thing. It's like, if you're a full grown man or woman and you want to go get your face venomed out, it's like, we can go into the psychology of it. There's lots there that we can unpack, but at the end of the day, the thing I do is try and understand how someone got to that form. I'd still try and give someone sound guidance around it and allow them to sort of unpack and undo a lot of things that have maybe landed them in a place where they felt like they want to identify with something like that, something that's so extreme and obviously not who they are. it's obviously not who they are. Someone's not Venom, even if they think they are Venom, right?
Yeah.
But I'd be gentle about it. I wouldn't do it for them, but who am I to say whether or not they should get that done? I just, life's a like choose your own journey
Yeah.
type of situation. So I just offer a very specific path, for people that choose to go down that one. And it's one that's like really founded in things that are real. Firstly, it has to be reality. Like we said, no self-idolization. We're not doing fantasy. Yeah, we're not tattooing things on you that aren't real. We're doing things that are good. Okay. And like we said, so this is like, whether it's regenerative or degenerative, we're doing something that's hopefully going to move you forward in a way that's positive, and then it's got to be true. So we're not about, again, it's kind of links with the reality one a little bit, but it's deeper. The true and false is deeper than the fantasy, because it's like when they believe the fantasy. So when someone's in complete illusion, or deception of self-deception's pretty big these days too. So yeah.
Damn. A lot of food for thought there.
Damn. Yeah, man.
Love it. Okay, Mark, I have to ask you one more thing.
Yeah.
You cannot answer you, okay? You cannot be then. Who is your who is your favorite tattoo artist?
Who is my favorite tattoo artist?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, I'll frame it up before I get there. So, there's tattooists. The way I view it, there's tattooists, there's tattoo artists, and then there's this space that I've moved into, and that I feel like a lot of cultural practitioners fall into as well, of a tattoo guide. And so at the tattoo pathway where I am, we're guiding people, and we take the artist hat off, so it's not about our artwork anymore. So just to frame that up, when you ask me who my favorite tattoo artist is, I'm thinking of someone that's a really good artist, and then their artwork becomes a personal project they're doing on someone else's body, because that person wants to collect art from them. Okay, which I don't do anymore. If I want to do art, I do it on a canvas or a piece of paper. If someone wants me to do art on them with a tattoo, it's not what I want to do. And I understand there's paradoxes there. It's like, of course, tattooing's art, but just to define that. So my favorite tattoo artist would be, I'd have to go with the old school, classical Japanese artist, and it would probably be Philip Liu.
Philip Liu. That's not a very Japanese name. Philip Liu. I'm gonna share the screen 1 second.
It's with an F.
Oh,
Philip with an F.
Liu tattoo.
1 L. L-E-U.
Oh, I've seen that before.
Yeah.
Damn, that's beautiful. So, I don't know how to ask this, but he's the guy who started this trend or this style of covering the whole back with like this traditional Japanese art, or that was done before.
He brought it into this contemporary industry, for sure. So it's like the Japanese were already doing full body suits, and there was an influence in, say, like the Western and European scene, but he really brought it into prominence. He was doing it better than most, and he's a bit of a legend in the industry now. And I can appreciate what he does. I've met him a couple of times. He's a beautiful guy, and there's lots there. He heavily influenced what I was doing, and so many people in the tattoo industry. There's a fair bit of a gap and a chasm that's forming now between the way that I work, obviously, But I can still appreciate it as art. It's just I don't really participate in the same way anymore.
Yeah, but
Yeah,
for sure it's beautiful. Definitely. That's so interesting that you mentioned.
definitely beautiful.
That's so interesting that you mentioned that you don't see tattoos like just a piece of art, and if you need to paint a nice piece of art, you just do it on canvas. I played a game called The Last of Us Part Two a few years ago, and the main character has this beautiful fern tattoo on her left arm, and I was like, "Damn, that's wonderful." I think I can share with you real quick. Let's see, Clo.
Just before you go away from that page,
Yeah, yeah, of course.
just look at all the rubbish. Look at all the rubbish on that page.
Yes, there's a lot of shitty stuff.
Like that's what tattooing is, mate. It doesn't even know what it is anymore.
Yeah.
That's our culture. Confused. Daffy Ducks. This is that imprinting of like all of these different things where people don't really know who they are or what they are. That's their story. They're trying to work things out, and it's not very clear, is it?
But one could still argue, let's say that they read a lot of Daffy Duck when they were a kid and their parents were like super into Daffy Duck. Like that means their whole childhood for them. Do you think even then that's not something that could be valid?
I'm not saying it's not valid. I'm just saying it's confusing. Yeah. For a human, to like have your identity caught up in a cartoon character.
It goes into the fantasy realm, as you mentioned earlier.
Yeah, and it's like it's not that like this imaginative story and having figures that are that don't exist can't be healthy. It's like you look at all cultures and they have mythology, right? It's just what the story is about and what you're identifying with is interesting. So like that one there, it's like I don't know this story, but like who's the old duck with all the money and why the kids are around the guy with the old money? What's going on there?
I don't know. I have no idea, man.
Yeah.
But I know what you mean. Like people don't give a lot of thought to what they do. Yeah.
I mean, let's not dive into Disney and start unpacking Disney and its influence on the world.
Oh no, come on. We're almost out of time. I would love to do that. I just want to show the Last of Us tattoo real quick. Like I thought it was like let me share the screen real quick. I played the game and I fell in love with the design. The game as well, of course, but especially the design. And you know what? I strongly considered doing it, but I was like, I don't know. Let's first like buy a fake one. So I bought like a fake tattoo. You can buy one of those online, and I had it on my arm for I think 1 week, 2 weeks. After that, I was just tired, just bored of it because it was like just like you said, like a nice piece of art. And now looking back, to be honest, I don't even would play this game again. So
there you go.
Yeah.
There you go. Yeah, it's like, why do you have the fern on your arm? Because I liked it, because I played a game. Okay. That tells me you don't know who you are and you're trying to identify with something else. So it's like the appropriate tattoo for you, if we're going to work together, we don't know what it looks like yet. We don't know, but you got to understand why you're getting it. And if you understand why you're getting it, then you can move into a process that'll reveal a tattoo that's uniquely yours. Uniquely yours.
Wonderful. Mark, I could keep talking to you for another hour. Like, I feel like there's so much to unpack. That's so interesting. But I need to ask you, like, where people can find you. What's your website? You have a podcast as well. I don't think we touched too much into that.
That's all right. Yeah, I got a podcast. We do one a month just to keep it going, and the podcast is basically just so that there's a free tier of information for people that are interested in what we talk about, which is, more than just tattooing. It's all of the other aspects that we've been sort of skirting around today. That's Tattoos with Intention podcast. It's a good one. You can have a listen. The other place people can find me is Instagram. It's the Mark of Nara. That's my Instagram. I don't use it very much. Most of my time is actually put into Tattoo Pathway. So tattoopathway.com. It's a research and education institute or platform. So like I mentioned, last year we did some surveys, did our first sort of layer of research. We also have a online community, the Tattoo Pathway Circle. And basically in there, the main thing people are doing is unpacking the tattoos they already have and sort of spending a little bit of time and investing in the idea of their tattoo, what it is that they're doing, what they're moving towards, well before they get into a tattoo studio. So that's a really beautiful space to be in. And really the main place where I'm putting my energy. So it's like people that want to talk about their tattoos, whether the ones they already have or the ones they're going to get, or try and, like we said, find a finish line. Like, what am I doing? what am I doing with these tattoos? I've got Daffy Duck on my arm, and I've got a fern on my forearm, and I don't know what to do next. It's a really good space to drop into, because you can have conversations with lots of people that have gone through the process, found some resolve with it, landed in a place where their tattoos work and fit. So yeah, tattoopathway.com is probably the best place.
Perfect. Thank you so much, Mark. Do you have any final remarks? Anything else that you'd like to say?
Not at all, man. But I sort of wish you all the best on your movement forward. We'll see how you go with the tattoo story after this. See whether you lean into it or not. I wish you all the best with it if you do.
Thank you. Definitely gave me a lot, and hopefully to everyone listening, a lot to think about. So that was extremely interesting. Mark, thank you again, and thank you so much for waking up so early for us. It was amazing.
You're welcome, mate. Thanks so much for listening.
Thanks so much. All right, everyone, don't forget, we have the amazing, beautiful giveaway at the end of March 2025. All you had to do is subscribe and comment. That's about it. And then you'll be running to win this awesome t-shirt. It's that easy. So do it. Subscribe and comment. See you in the comments. Bye, everyone. See you next time. Thank you so much for hanging out with us today. If it's your first time watching the show, make sure to like and subscribe.
What do you
if you're
think?
listening on Spotify or Apple Podcasts, please rank the show 5 stars. This will ensure that the podcast is recommended to even more people and allow me to keep doing what I love. Check out now the BRUCAST store, Explore store, filled with awesome goodies from hoodies to t-shirts to mugs.
Yeah.
We've got you covered.
Yeah.
Stay in style
Totally, man.
with
I mean, like, it can be
Embrace the
fantasy.
shock,
Like we said, everyone can make their own choice.
Buy now at
That's what the world is, but
brew-cast.com/store. Again,
for
that's
some people, they want to go a bit deeper,
Link on the description below. Be a BRUCAST model and get free stuff. We'd love to see how you and your loved ones enjoy BRUCAST. Snap a picture of yourself, your family, your friends, or even your pets wearing BRUCAST merch, or watching an episode of the show and send it to us and become part of
I'm
BRUCAST.
happy to.
We'll feature
It
you and
depends
your
what you
pictures
put
at the
up,
end of
right?
every episode,
So,
just like the ones
because I've
you're
done a
seeing
few
on screen
podcasts recently,
right now. You can upload
I'll tell
your
you the
pictures
things
at
that people have done that didn't work for me,
brew-cast.contact,
just
or
so you
tag
have
us on
that
social media.
in your awareness.
All right, everyone.
So the
it has been a
first thing is
pleasure.
a couple
Thank you
of
so
people,
much, and see
after
you
doing
next
the
time.
interview,
Bye-bye.
have put posts up, and then the image that they use, kind of like we talked about with tattooing, doesn't fit.